Hey everyone, my name is Nina Freeman, and in this video I'm going to be sharing an encounter that I had with an intimate relationship, but I'm also going to share some ways that you can use the role of context, the roles of emotions, and the roles of listening to be able to avoid some of the things that I encountered. So in this brief scenario, I was in a relationship that I thought was going to be the man of my dreams and my forever. After being single for 4 years, I thought I had found my person once again, but I was wrong. From the start, we shared the common situation of being single for some time due to our spouses cheating on us, and we also had kids of our own. He had a daughter, and I had two daughters, and they were all 2 years apart. I thought this was going to be great. Our daughters would grow up together, and the best part is that they all got along really well. We shared the same beliefs, and we did share some of the common goals that we had for our lives. We ended up moving in together in my home that was left to me by my grandparents since he was renting a home that was around 45 minutes away. This, of course, would have been a way for us to save money to be able to reach our goals. We had the perfect blended family. We were always doing things together, and we even attended church together. To the outside, we were perfect for each other, but on the inside of my home, things started to take a turn. The goals that we had together, they started to fade when he seemed to no longer be interested in reaching them. Our conversations started to get shorter because he was always distracted by other things, rather if it was conversations on the phone or him playing games on his phone. And of course, he was no longer engaged with our girls, and he stopped even going to church with us. And his excuse was that he was always too tired. I knew that he did not have a strong family bond that I had with my family whenever I was growing up, but when we first got together, this was one of the things that he said that he wanted. So at first I let the disconnection go because I just figured he did not know how to express his emotions. I used his background as an excuse for his absence of self-disclosure in our relationship. I would try to express how I felt about certain situations, and he would just ignore them because he was always on his phone. He no longer wanted to talk about our goals, and he started laying out of work, which of course put the financial strain on me that we had accumulated together. I felt that I was always the one that was putting in the effort. I was working full time. I was taking care of our girls. I was taking care of things around the house, and I was also paying on the bills. He no longer even touched me. I expressed to him that our goals were not going to be reached by our roles being one-sided, and they had to let me know what was going on and what he was feeling because I felt that we were getting nowhere. I started to feel down on myself because I felt I was not attractive to him anymore due to his actions towards me, and I was mentally and physically drained. So now let's fast forward to almost a year into our relationship. I decided to end it. I let him know how I felt, and our lack of communication was getting us to this point. I can no longer let his past affect our future, and I can no longer do this all on my own. I explained to him that I had been doing everything all on my own the 4 years before we had met, and I felt like I was still doing it even though he was in our lives. When this came about, he then tried to express his emotions. It was not in a way for us to be able to fix things, but it was in a way that the blame was cast all on me. It was my fault that I was the one it was my fault that he was always on his phone because I didn't pay him any attention. And it was my fault that I did not tell him what bills needed to be paid whenever we had fully discussed this at the beginning of our relationship. It was my fault that he did not want to touch me because all I did was go to bed and go to sleep. Now, everything had been casted on me and everything seemed to be my fault. Come to find out, he did the same thing with his ex-wife, and instead of leaving him, she just ended up cheating on him. Now, I don't think that this was a way for them to be able to really leave the relationship, but at this point, I saw her reasoning, but it still wasn't right. It was due to the ways that he was raised that he thought everything was just okay. Him not expressing how he felt and following what he knew from his own upbringing was bringing me down. So now I'm going to discuss some ways that you can use the role of context to be able to avoid some of these things that I encountered. The role of context is all about understanding a person's background, their personality, and their worldview. Our differences in the way we were raised affected our ability to be able to communicate and collaborate with each other. He assumed everything was fine until I expressed how I felt. The blame was not cast on him. The blame was going to be cast on the problems that we were having. He did not want to see that his absence of disclosure was the problem. He was also not willing to collaborate with me to fix our problems because he seen me as being the problem. My biggest advice when in an intimate relationship is to take their upbringing into consideration. Be sure they are willing to let their past not be a part of their future if it is not what they really want in a relationship. Be able to keep a line of open communication, and the emotions that they are tailoring at the beginning of a relationship to match yours needs to be carried out in the relationship as it goes on and as time goes by. And after a while, his emotions did not match his actions, and that is what led to the gap in our relationship. So the role of context is be able to understand where your person is coming from, understand their background, and if it doesn't match what you want in a relationship, be able to keep that line of open communication to be able to self-disclose in each other. So now I'm going to talk about the role of emotions in a relationship and how you can use them to avoid some of the situations that I was in. So emotions are the most powerful of human experiences that involve thoughts, our physiological arousal, and of course communication. Through his past experiences, he was unable to share his emotions, while I was willing to share mine to try to get through our situations that we were in. When my emotions were not considered, my self-perception of myself started to change. I started to question who I was and even if I was even enough for this relationship. Even though I was doing all these things, it just felt like I wasn't getting anything in return, so we were not able to respect each other's way of expression. He was keeping his feelings and emotions to himself and then cast all the blame on me. My advice when it comes to expressing your emotions to a partner, make sure they are actively listening and try to find ways to be able to understand each other's emotional expression styles. Be able to express your feelings to your partner and be able to have that, once again, that open line of communication to be able to express what you're feeling and be able to express yourself. And if you're not able to express yourself in a relationship, find a way that y'all can meet in the middle. And this all boils down to the role of listening in a relationship, because active listening is the key to understanding each other. Pay attention to each other, and at first, an intimate relationship is really easy, but it's important to remain the same throughout the relationship because our perceptions of each other and ourselves should not be altered. If they are, that's when you start to question things within a relationship. So be attentive to your partner's emotions, feelings, and needs. If they're not being met, find a way to listen to each other and openly express what the problems may be. So even though, like, even in friendships or relationships or even your relationships that you build with your students in the classroom, be able to take the role of context into consideration, be able to know where they come from, their backgrounds, and why they may not be open to expressing how they're feeling or expressing their emotions, and take the role of emotions into consideration as well, because these things can also be altered by experiences that we've had in the past, just like with his past experiences in our relationship. He wasn't able to open up to me, and then he wanted to cast the blame on me. And this can happen in a classroom too, because some kids want to blame others for how they're feeling. But if you keep that open line of communication, you'll be able to meet in the middle and find out the needs of your student and be able to find out the needs for your partner. Also, the role of listening is a really big deal. You should be able to listen to your partner and listen to your students and listen to any of the relationships that you have going on in your lives, and just be able to self-disclose in each other. But it takes trust to be able to get to that point and be able to hold on to that perception that you want others to see of you, because if you don't hold on to that throughout the remaining of relationship, then people are going to start questioning things, and that can cause a gap in your relationship. So just be able to keep all these roles in mind and try to avoid, of course, the things that I just shared in my situation. So I hope this video has came to you in a way to be able to help you through some of your relationships. And if you would like to be able to reach out to me, if you can email me or post to this blog. So I hope you have a good day. Thanks.